Hello and welcome to English with Mahdi. This is episode 11 and I am so excited and pleased to be here to present another 8 English words. I see a couple of people who are listening to my videos. I just want to say that you are doing very well, shall we? And believe me that you don't waste your time at all, but rather enhancing your English and your vocabulary in particular. Now let's get cracking, and for the first word we have got deserve. Deserve. It contains 2 syllables. Deserve. The stress is on the second syllable. Deserve. It is a verb and it means to be worthy of something because of your actions or qualities. Just imagine that when someone does something good or bad, they should get the result. So at that time, the result is what they deserve. For example, a hard-working student studies all year and gets the highest score. Everyone says, you deserve this success. Now we have some similar words to deserve, which are earn, merit, be worthy of. And also we have some common collocations, which are deserve a reward, deserve respect, deserve success, deserve punishment, deserve better, and deserve to win. Now for the example sentences we have, she deserves a promotion because she works hard. They deserved to win the match. You deserve better treatment. That's it, dear listeners. Now let's go to the second word, which is depend. Depend. Depend consists of 2 syllables, and the stress is on the second syllable. Depend. Depend is a verb, and it means to need someone or something for help, support, or decision. Just imagine if something changes according to another thing, it depends on it. For example, a small child holding their mother's hand while crossing the road. So at that time, the child depends on the mother for safety. Remember that depend mostly used with on. Now for the synonymous we have rely on, count on, and trust. And for the collocations we have depend on someone, depend on something, depend heavily on, depend entirely on, it depends, which is a very common expression. Now we have some examples. Children depend on their parents. Success depends on hard work. Whether we travel tomorrow depends on the weather. Someone asks us, will you come tomorrow to the party? And the another answers, it depends. That's it. And now let's go to the next word, which is advocate. 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 Advocate is also could be a verb or a noun. And actually its pronunciation depends on whether it is a noun or a verb. For example, if advocate is used as a verb, it's pronounced like advocate. Advocate. But when it's used as a noun, it is pronounced like advocate. Advocate. So advocate as a verb means to publicly support something. And advocate as a noun means a person who supports something. So in general, it means to support, recommend, or speak in favor of something. Imagine when you strongly support an idea and speak for it, you advocate it. For example, a person standing on a stage speaking loudly about protecting the environment. So at that time, that person is advocating environmental protection. Now we have some similar words to advocate, which are support, promote, defend. And also we have some common collocations, which are advocate change, advocate human rights, advocate peace, strongly advocate, a leading advocate, advocate for quality. Now for the examples, we have got she advocates better education for children. Many doctors advocate regular exercise. He's an advocate of environmental protection. That's it, dear listeners. Now for the fourth word, we have got persist. Persist. The stress is on the second syllable. Persist. It's a verb and it means to continue doing something even when it's difficult or when others stop. Imagine that if you keep trying, despite having tribulations, obstacles, for example, and difficulties, and do not stop, at that time you persist. For example, a runner who falls during a race but stands up and continues running until the finish line. At that time, the runner persists. Now we have some synonyms like continue, keep going, persevere, and endure. And some common collocations, which are persist in doing something, persist despite difficulties, persist with efforts, persist over time, problems persist. Now for the examples, we have got she persisted in her studies despite many problems. If you persist, you will succeed. The pain persisted for several days. That's it. And now for the fifth word, we have got acknowledge. Acknowledge. The stress is on the second syllable. Acknowledge. It is a verb and it means to accept, recognize, or admit that something is true or exists. Imagine that a student, for example, makes a mistake in class and says, "Yes, I made a mistake." So at that time, the student acknowledges the mistake. Now we have some similar words to acknowledge, which are admit, recognize, accept, and confirm. And for the collocations, we have got acknowledge a mistake, acknowledge the problem, acknowledge receipt, publicly acknowledge, and acknowledge that. And for the examples, we have he acknowledged his mistake. The company acknowledged the problem. She acknowledged that the task was difficult. That's it, and now let's jump to another word, which is exacerbate. Exacerbate. The stress is on the second syllable. Exacerbate. It is a verb and it means to make a problem, situation, or feeling worse. Just imagine when something increases the seriousness of a problem, it actually exacerbates it. For example, a small fire is burning and someone throws oil on it. At that time, the fire becomes even bigger and the oil exacerbates the fire. Now we have some synonyms like worsen, intensify, and increase. And for the collocations, we have exacerbate the problem, exacerbate tensions, exacerbate the crisis, exacerbate the conflict, and exacerbate symptoms. Now for the examples, we have got his rude comments exacerbated the conflict. Lack of sleep can exacerbate stress. The new policy exacerbated the problem. That's it, and now let's have another word, which is alleviate. Alleviate. The stress is on the second syllable. Alleviate. Alleviate is a verb and it means to make something less severe, less painful, or easier. Imagine when you reduce pain or make a problem easier, actually you alleviate it. For example, a person has a headache and takes medicine. At that time, the medicine alleviates the pain. Now we have some similar words to alleviate, which are reduce, ease, relieve, lessen. And for collocations, we have got alleviate pain, alleviate stress, alleviate poverty, alleviate suffering, alleviate the problem. And now for the examples, we have the medicine alleviated her pain. Good planning can alleviate many problems. Exercise helps alleviate stress. That's it, dear listeners. Now let's go to the last word, which is neglect. Neglect. The stress on the second syllable, neglect. Neglect is a verb and it means to fail to give proper care, attention, or responsibility to something or someone. Just imagine that when you don't take care of something that needs attention, at that time you neglect it. For example, a plant is not watered for many days and becomes dry. At that time, the owner neglected the plant. Now for the synonyms, we have got ignore, abandon, disregard. And we have some collocations like neglect duties, neglect responsibilities, neglect children, neglect health, and years of neglect. Now we have some example sentences like he neglected his studies and failed in the exam. Parents should not neglect their children. She neglected her health for many years. That's it, listeners. Now let's just use all the 8 words in one short story and pay attention to the 8 words that we have just studied. Lina was a dedicated teacher who believed every student deserved a chance to succeed. She knew that a child's success could depend on the support they received at home and school. That's why she always advocated for her students, speaking to parents and the principal about their needs. Some days were challenging and obstacles seemed endless, but Lina persisted in helping her students improve. When she made a mistake, she didn't hide it. She openly acknowledged it, showing her students that honesty matters. She noticed that ignoring students' emotional struggles could exacerbate their problems. So she worked to alleviate their stress by offering guidance and encouragement. Sadly, some parents neglected their responsibilities, but Lina never gave up. She continued to be a positive influence in every child's life. That's the end of the lesson, dear ladies and gentlemen. Hope you the best.